Hello friends, this is Mrs. Dennis and I have another read aloud for you today. And this read aloud is, again, it's Rattenborough, and we are going to define and determine the author's point of view about animal classifications, right? So I have the author's purpose chart right in front of you. So the people who write books or articles have a point of view. They have an idea or opinion that they want you to learn through their writing. So during this read aloud, we're going to be focusing on that point of view of the author. So when we focus on the author's point of view, we ask ourselves a few questions. What did the author write? Why did the author write the text? Right? So why did the author write this? And does the author want us to answer, describe, or explain something? So is the author trying to answer a question, describe something to us, or explain a topic to us? Right? So this is how we are going to determine or travel through and see what the author is trying to get us to do. Right? So today's read aloud, we're going to hear about 5 groups of animals, and I want you to listen to find out the names of these animal groups and why scientists group them the way that they do. Okay. We're also going to focus on the author's point of view. So I may pause every now and again so that we can analyze the text and try to determine the author's point of view. So what are you going to listen for? Listen for 5 groups of animals, their names, and why scientists group them as they do. And this is going to be that question. That's going to be your primary discussion question once we are done. All right, here we go. Aha! I'm back. Does anyone remember me? It's me, Rattenborough, animal expert and world traveler. We've explored lots of animal habitats together, haven't we? From hot savannas to cold Arctic regions, we've watched hungry carnivores eat their prey with very sharp teeth while herbivores feast on grasses nearby. Today I've got great fun in store for you today. I'm going to present a slideshow. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how scientists understand animals. Think about all of the different types of animals on Earth. Grasshoppers, penguins, rabbits, lions, salmon, turtles, and salamanders are just a few. What other animals can you name? Can you name some? Wow, you know a lot of animals. How do you tell them apart? How do you recognize them? How do you identify them? One way that we make sense of our world is by sorting things into categories or groups. Look closely at these pictures of a salamander and a squirrel and notice their characteristics. Can you name any ways that a salamander and a squirrel are alike? How are they different? What other characteristics can you think of to help sort animals into categories? So I'm going to pause right here. So as you listen to the paragraph, think about, why did the author write this passage? Why did the author write that? And did the author want to answer, explain, or describe a topic? What was the author trying to do? Here we go. We're going to continue. In the mid-1700s, about 250 years ago, a Swedish man named Carlos Linnaeus became fascinated by the many different ways that people all over the world were grouping animals. Some people grouped animals by how they looked. Others grouped them by their habitats, and still others by where animals lived. It was all a great mumbo jumbo. So Linnaeus decided to use their ideas to create a worldwide system to classify or group animals based on their shared characteristics. The science of classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Using new ideas and tools, scientists have continued to study organisms and the ways they are similar or different over time. Ideas about how to classify animals have changed somewhat. Now, friends, I want you to think about, why did the author write this passage? This is the part I just read when we talked about Linnaeus and how he became fascinated with the many different ways people classified animals or how they grouped them. Right, the author wrote the passage to explain why Linnaeus created a way to classify animals. Now, did the author want to answer, explain, or describe a topic? Exactly, he wanted to explain how animals are classified. All right, good job, friends. Let's move on. Scientists currently recognize 3 groups of living organisms based on important parts within their cells. Scientists generally agree that these groups of organisms are then divided into kingdoms, the main groups into which all living organisms have been further classified. Plants and animals are the 2 kingdoms that I know the most about. And today I'm here to talk to you about my favorite one. That's right, the animal kingdom. Taxonomists identify animals by their characteristics or special features that set them apart from others. They divide the 5 animal kingdoms into smaller and smaller groups, with each smaller group having more and more in common with one another. Each group has a specific name. For example, you and I not only belong to the same kingdom, the animal kingdom, but we both belong to the same phylum, the phylum known as Chordata, because we share similar body characteristics. So this is kind of just a picture, and I know it looks a little bit confusing now, but just remember, everything under here are living things. And then we have insects and plants and birds and people, but everything on this chart is a living thing. Most animals in the Phylochordata are vertebrates. A vertebrate has a backbone. Do you have a backbone? Yes, you do, and so do I. That is one of our common characteristics. One of the ways that scientists group us to show relationship between us. My backbone is smaller than yours because I'm much smaller. But if you look closely at this image, you can see how similar our bones are. So friends, if you take a look at this picture right here, and nope, that's not the back of her shirt. That is an image of what a backbone looks like. Vertebrates belong to the animal kingdom and are in the phylum Chordata. The phylum is divided into even more groups called classes. A class is divided into smaller groups called orders. An order is divided into smaller groups called families. A family is divided into smaller groups, each called genus. A genus is divided into even smaller groups called species. There are many, many species within each group. Friends, I know that this looks super duper confusing, but it is all a way to classify our living things. Now that you know that a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone, what do you think an invertebrate is? Oh yes, that's correct. An invertebrate is an animal with no backbone. A little more than 90% of all animals on Earth are invertebrates. Think about it. More than 95% of all the species of animals on Earth are invertebrates. That's a lot. And most of them are fairly small. Fewer than 5% of all animal species are vertebrates. That means that you and I and all vertebrates belong to a very small percentage of animals on Earth. Mammals, that includes all humans, are literally just a speck. Now that you've heard all about how taxonomists sort animals into categories, I'm ready to begin my slideshow. I'm going to teach you all kinds of amazing things about animals. I met the most wonderful new animal friends while I traveled the globe. And so throughout this domain, I will show you my slides so that you can meet them. They represent 5 vertebrate groups of animals. As they are introduced, remember to think about how a scientist might classify each one of my new friends. How is each one like you, and how is each one different from you? Here's Paulo piranha from Colombia. This is a Tabitha toad from Brazil. Here's an anaconda from Peru. This is Ebenezer Eggert from South Africa. And met Hilda Hippo from Tanzania. Please welcome Pablo, Tabitha, Anna, Ebenezer, and Hilda to our classroom. They are going to appear from time to time in my slides as you learn about the 5 vertebrate groups of animals. Be sure to keep a sharp eye out for them. You never know when they might turn up. Aren't they a handsome bunch? They all belong to the animal kingdom like you and me. And they are like us in another way. They all have backbones. Now, things get tricky. We are all animals and we are all vertebrates, but we are not all the same, are we? Oh, heavens no. We have lots of differences as well. You and I belong to a class or group called mammals. What makes mammals different from other classes of animals is that they have fur or hair. And the mothers give birth to live babies and feed their babies with the milk their bodies produce. You will learn more about these and other characteristics of animals on another day. My friend Hilda Hippo is indeed a mammal, even though it is hard to see a little bit of hair around her mouth and on the tips of her ears and tail. When I was in Tanzania, Hilda and I had a visit with a proud new mother hippopotamus. Look at her with her baby. I'm going to go back. Sorry. So, I'm a mammal, you're a mammal, and Hilda is a mammal. But my other friends have different classifications. One of them is in the reptile class, a scaly creature that likes to warm itself in the sunshine. Anna anaconda, right here. Isn't she beautiful? She's one of the largest snakes in the world. Though she is not poisonous, her strong muscles help her constrict or squeeze her prey. Another of my friends is an amphibian, which means that she lays eggs and lives both in and out of water. Most animals in the amphibian class have smooth, wet skin, but my friend's skin is rather dry and leathery. Who is she? Right again, Tabitha Toad. She looks a lot like her close relative, the frog, doesn't she? Her skin helps protect her as it camouflaged or able to blend into the environment. My last 2 friends should be easy to classify because their classification names are much more common to all of us. Which one of my friends is a member of the bird class? Yes, Ebenezer Eggert. Ebenezer is a warm-blooded vertebrate with feathers. Paulo piranha is the last of my friends to be classified today. Which group does Paulo belong to? Paulo piranha is a fish. Right here. He has fins and gills and lives in water. Piranhas, though small, are tough by many to be are thought by many to be dangerous because of their very sharp teeth. Don't worry. Paulo, like many other piranha, usually feeds on dead and injured wild animals. Taxonomists believe that all the vertebrate animals on Earth can be classified into one of these 5 groups: fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. In the fish group, there are 3 different fish classes. Fish also have the largest number of species among vertebrates. Even though there are more than 60,000 known species of vertebrates on Earth, there are nearly 1.5 million invertebrates, and 1 million of those are insects. Scientists continue to discover thousands of new insect species each year. How can this be? It's because there are still unexplored areas of the earth. Far into the rainforest, inside the cold ice of glaciers, within the hot lava of volcanoes, and deep down in the ocean. Perhaps one day you will discover new animals yourselves, examine and classify them by their different characteristics, and add to our understanding of taxonomy. Let's think about what you've learned today. Scientists classify organisms, including animals, in order to show relationships between them. Animals are classified by common characteristics. Vertebrate animals have backbones, whereas invertebrate animals do not have backbones. Some are warm-blooded, whereas others are cold-blooded. We will learn more about warm-blooded and cold-blooded animals in another reading and read alouds. Think about other ways that scientists might classify animals. It is important to consider where animals live, their habitats. Do they live in water or on land? Do they live in warm climates or cold climates? What covers their bodies? Feathers or scales? Fur or hair? Do they lay eggs or do they give birth to live creatures that look like smaller versions of themselves? What kinds of food do they eat? Plants, animals, or both? These are all important questions for taxonomists to ask as they work to group animals into categories that are easily studied. In the upcoming read alouds, you will learn much more about how animals are classified. Next time, we will pick up with the slideshow so that I can teach you about the groups of animals to which Tabitha toad, Anna anaconda, Paulo piranha belong. Can anyone make a prediction about which of my friends are warm-blooded animals, like me? Well, you have to wait until next time to see if you're right. That's all for now, friends.